Shaynel's 3 Cents. I'm your host, Shaynel Caldwell, the founder and executive director of Our Blended Families. And again, we want to welcome you to the show today. We're going to make this intro pretty short and sweet today because I'm really excited and looking forward to jumping into everything with our special guest. But before we do, of course, I want to go into my little 3 cents about some of the things that have happened this weekend in our world. Aside from, yay, all things going on in the world of politics with our awesome number 45 and all the people that are flipping and turning on him. So again, make sure you're staying in touch with what's going on in the community. Again, it affects how you're taxed. It affects how all your money is coming out of your pocket. It affects your jobs and whether or not you're going to be able to maintain your job in the particular contracts that you're working on. And ultimately, it's going to trickle down into your community and how things affect your schools and things of that nature. So please, stay in tune with what's going on in our government and how things are slowly but surely unfolding. Now, of course, in the world of lifestyles and things going on, I think one of the most prolific things that hit me this week were all the events surrounding accused family killer, Mr. Chris Collins up in Denver. For those of you that aren't aware, he was the gentleman that is currently sitting trial on allegations that he killed his wife and 2 children. Incidentally, his wife was also pregnant. And it was recently revealed in the news the other day that the reason that he allegedly committed these atrocities was because he was in an illicit affair. And so somehow or another, it reminded me immediately of the issues with Scott Peterson. For those of you that may remember, I'm from Cali. I'm a West Coast girl, all that good stuff. Raiders, LA, Oakland, now we're going to Vegas, all that good stuff. But it really, really bothers me when we hear about these situations. Not only that there's a problem within someone's marriage, not to mention, the situation that has to be handled delicately surrounding raising your children when those situations arise, but ultimately that you decided that you cannot live anymore in this particular situation in this fashion, but by killing your wife and or your kids. Scott Peterson was convicted after an amusing go-round from fleeing the police and being on TV, much like the gentleman in Denver was, pleading for the community's help with trying to find his wife, and oh, help me find them, I love them, I don't know where they are. And ultimately was discovered that he had actually killed her and his son because he apparently gutted the baby out of his wife's stomach. So Scott's rotting in prison down in California. I don't recall exactly where, but again, we're intensely watching the court case surrounding the gentleman in Denver that has ultimately done the same. And so while family killers is something that's not new to us, we've been watching, and those of you like myself that have been studying this for a while, we are going to go into a little bit today with my guests on some of the reasons how some of these things unfold, and ultimately some of the reparations that tend to fall out of when 2 relationships fall apart within a husband and a wife. So again, I want to say thanks for tuning in. I hope you've got everything knocked down. Hopefully you're watching on voxwave.com, you're watching online, or you're watching on our live YouTube feed under my personal page. Hey, but again, we'll be coming back shortly after this break with my guest, the awesome and beautiful Miss Sanita Mitchell. Her and her husband are the founders and directors of an awesome organization called the Perfect Family Blend, and we'll be looking forward to having her on the show right after this break. We'll see you back shortly. back. Again, thank you so much for watching. This is Shaynel's 3 Cents with my wonderful, beautiful guest host today, Miss Sanita Mitchell.
Yes, thank you.
And if you would be so kind as to share with our audience who you are and whose you are and what you and your wonderful husband are doing.
So thank you so much for inviting us to the show today. Well, me to the show today. I am Sanita Mitchell. I am the co-founder of the Perfect Family Blend, where me and my husband have the business of helping blended families nurture and maintain and keep their families together. And so we've been married now for 9 years. Might as well say 9 years. It'll be 9 years in September. So, and we are very excited about what God is doing with us through the blended family. So
absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the most important things that I'd love for you to share with our audience. You and I met because we were both members of the Sanctuary at Kingdom Square. Mm-hmm. Yay, Pastor Macklin.
Shout out.
And part of being in the church is not only being able to grow and connect with individuals, but also being able to be transparent about, how the Lord has blessed you and through your testimony.
Yes.
So if you wouldn't mind telling the audience a little bit about how you and your husband got your blended family started.
Okay, so actually Tony and I met back in 2018, and
this 2018.
Oh, you're right. It is 2018. 2008.
Y'all meet every morning. When
every morning we wake up. We met, right? And so we met in 2008. Okay. And I had 2 boys already. One was a teenager. One was about 7 years old. And Tony has no children of his own at that time. And so we dated for about probably like 7 to 8 months. In the December of 2008, he had proposed to me and the boys. So it was all of us. He proposed to all of us in December. So we became married in September 2019, and we've been together ever since.
Awesome, awesome. And have you added to your family since then, since you only had 2 boys at the time?
Yes, so since then we have added 3 more children. We have 1 angel baby, Anaya Simone, which I'm sure you'll talk about later, and then 2 other toddlers. They're 4 and 5 now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
A boy and a girl.
Awesome. I think that it's also important to note that within our community, typically, and this is most communities of color, typically the man meets a woman that has children. Right. And so there's always those conversations surrounding, well, man, you want to marry this woman? She got kids already. You sure you want to deal with her kids? Did you all have those conversations about where do you like the kids? You sure we're going to make this awesome transition and you won't have any difficulty walking into this responsibility? Because it is a responsibility in addition to the tag along, because the kids also have a father.
Right. So. Right. So we didn't spend a lot of time talking about it because Tony had already made up in his mind that if he was going to be with me, that he would have to accept Keith and Daniel as a package. Like, we were a package. There was no, like, you're just going to love me and not, just kind of tolerate them. So he immediately took on the responsibility of the fatherhood. You know what I mean? Not pushing that they're going to call, not replacing their father, but having that male positive role model that he was going to demonstrate for them. So we talked about it because when we were dating, I was like, well, did you ever like have a quote, like a quota, how many children a woman would have before you would even entertain dating her? And he did have that. He was like, 2 was the max. But
if she got 5 kids,
if she got 5 kids, is God would have to beam down and tell me that I needed to marry her.
This is your assignment.
This is your job. But he was just like, 2 was my cap.
Okay, so you were perfect.
Yeah, I just made it. I just made it in, And so, we didn't really spend a lot of time on, working out the details. We kind of just went day by day. And I think sometimes if you spend too much time trying to figure out all the details, that's when you tend to the what ifs. You don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
So he never, ever tried to become their father, because they had fathers, whether they were active or not was a whole nother story, but he never tried to replace them. Excellent. It was just to enhance what they already had.
And I know you use the term a lot in your organization, bonus mom, bonus dad. So, look, I love to hear that, because a lot of people seem to think that, oh, if this happens, these people get together, they get married, you know, the other person's pushed out the picture, and then you have to figure out who's the number one dad or who's the top dad. No, they're all dads. Right. You just get a bonus because you bring another one into the foray.
Right. So we don't really care for the term step, because steps are things you walk on, and Tony is he's not a step, so he's not a stepdad. They're not going to walk all over him. While we know that term is not, you know, it's a lot of emotions behind the term, because sometimes people think stepmoms or stepdads are wicked or they're mean, and so that title tends to come with a negative stigma to it, you know, whether we like it or not. Sometimes it's just automatic negative. And so with the bonus, it's like, when you think of a bonus, it's like something that you didn't even really earn. But we all like bonuses, right? We like a bonus on our check. We like a bonus, you know, a bonus gift card, a bonus. Right. We like bonuses. So when you change the dynamics and you say, I got a bonus mom, this person isn't the person who's trying to replace my biological mom, but this is another person that I can talk to, because hopefully if my biological mom or dad has chosen to unite with this person, that this person is going to bring value. Right. You know what I mean? This person is going to bring an enhancement to our dynamics. So I got two moms to deal with now. I got two daddies that's going to love me. You know, I have two moms that if I'm in a crisis, maybe I can't go to my biological right away, but I have this other person who is going to steer me in the right direction, and may even still direct me back to my biological mom, you know, so that I can maybe get the nerves to go to her or him, you know, just depending on the situation.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, when I got divorced, I don't think that, I think that I immediately trusted, because I had met my ex-husband's new wife at the time. But I don't think I had any qualms about whether or not she would be good for the kids, but because of the mental situation I was in at that time, she was more of a bonus for me. Right. And so that's why I coined the term, and I use it all the time, my stepwife, you know, because the kids got a stepmom that we're able to help them, but I'm like, oh, I got a stepwife because she helping me too. Right. You know, so I ain't care about them. I'm caring about what I'm getting. Okay, so I got a wife that's also going to help cook. Okay, I got a wife that's also helping wash their clothes and pick them up. Okay, this is my step-wife. So we add to the family on this side.
Yeah, you got to look at the perks.
Positives.
The positives. Because you obviously didn't want to be with that person any longer, so let's move on. You know, you have to learn to make it work in the positiveness.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kind of reflecting back on our opening when we talked about Mr. Watts, I know that in the work that you and Tony have done in talking to people, you know, the issue of infidelity has arisen. And we also know that aside from money, infidelity is the number 2 reason why people get divorced. Can you speak a little about how it's not, and forgive me for saying this, y'all, pass on, but it's not that freaking bad. You don't have to kill the other person to go on to another relationship. But can you provide some tips on how moms and dads can kind of have this discussion and say, hey, this isn't working anymore, but in the interim, you know, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm doing, but this is how we can effectively separate and still take care of our kids and still have some type of unity, as opposed to, you know, going off on the far end of the sinning board to where we just go kill everybody and start fresh.
Right. So if I understand your question, what you want to know is, how do people have the conversation?
How should they have the conversation
if they're going into a new relationship and they're no longer going to be together? How can we move forward?
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the things that I know that we did was we had a conversation. So with the biologicals. Okay, so when we got to the point where we were getting ready to be engaged, when he asked me at that point that we were engaged, even while we were dating, they knew him. They were very involved in the dating process. So they knew who he was. So when I said I was getting married, they wasn't like, to who? You know what I mean? So that was clear.
Was he their uncle while you was dating?
No, he was Mr. Tony. No,
look, don't do that. Don't
no
do that.
uncles. They know who their uncles are. They know how many brothers I have. So they were not uncles. So don't blur the lines and bring confusion with your children.
Yes.
You know, so no uncles. He was just Mr. Tony. And then, but going back to your question is the communication has got to be on point. Like, you have to be clear because everybody has to be comfortable. Meaning Tony has to be comfortable with me having a conversation with Keith and Daniel's biological dads, okay? And so the biologicals have to pretty much, I don't owe them an explanation. Like, I hear this a lot too, is I don't owe them an explanation. Well, you do, because you're bringing in another person who's going to have immediate impact on that child's life. So that biological parent has absolutely every right to ask, who is this person? You know, tell me a little bit about them, because they're going to be around. Right. And so I need to know who they are. And so you need to build that relationship. And so that's key. So having the communication, be consistent. You know what I mean? Consistent. Like, don't get mad at the biological because you may not agree. And so therefore you start getting into your emotions and making decisions. What they say, don't make long-term decisions off of something that's short-term, because you're in your emotions. But what you decide later is at that moment, is going to impact that child's life. Because we're really talking about what's going to impact the child's life. Sometimes we lose that. So being consistent, like I said.
And let me interrupt you for a second here, because something that you said definitely bears repeating. Don't make long-term decisions off of a short-term emotion, because we see that all too often. It's like, I hate this job, I quit. Right. You know, you get on my nerves, I quit you, we get divorced. Right. So absolutely, and I think it's very profound that you said that, because we do have to realize we're entitled to our emotions. We're entitled to what we feel. However, you need to understand that may be a fleeting emotion. Right. You know, so don't make anything long term until you realize, okay, I'm not mad anymore. It's only been 2 days or something like that.
Right. So. And then the last thing I would say is resolve conflict quickly. Like, don't, come together. Like, I know we had an issue one time, and really it took all of us. And what I meant is, it was me and Tony, one of the biological fathers, and his girlfriend. We all came together and we talked about what our thoughts were on the situation. They had a say, she had a say. I didn't say, well, you the girlfriend and who cares what she got to say. Like, this is
she ain't the wife.
She ain't even married to you. Like, that's petty. We're supposed to be mature adults. We're supposed to be setting an example for the children on how to handle conflict. So don't be afraid to handle conflict. I mean, of course, we had to diffuse ourselves to get to the place. So you don't want to do it in the heat.
You had to fix your face.
Yeah, you don't want to go in the heat of the moment, because we were both angry. Both sides were both angry. But at some point, you got to get past your anger, and how are we going to solve this? Because my resolution at first was, he just don't go back. But I can't keep him from his daddy. But see, that's what we're talking about.
Say that again.
I cannot keep him from his daddy.
Hello.
So that's me. You know what I mean? That's me making an adult decision for a child who has no say. He's just sitting there. Right. You know what I mean? And so we got past that. We met together and we were able to resolve it. I mean, and it was heated. Like, let's let go of everything's going to be peachy keen. Like, sometimes your conversations are going to be difficult. Like, there are going to be conversations that you have that's going to be tough, and it's going to hurt the other person, or you may get hurt. But as an adult, it's like in your marriage, we tend to be short fused, like just throw everything out the window. But when you get married, but when you go to work, and the people at work get on your nerve, you don't be like, oh, I ain't come. You be like, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go in my office. I'm done for the day. But then the next day at 7:30 in the morning or whatever time you got to be there, you going to come to work. You know what I mean? And so you cannot quit on the relationships, especially the ones that you are in covenant with.
Absolutely.
You can't walk out on that. So those would be my 3 top things.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on that when we come back. We're going to take a quick technical break, and we'll see you guys back here in about 1 minute. I know. Look, look, we're going to do this real quick first. So,
is this a charger?
Yeah. Yes. Awesome. While we were on a break, we took a moment to share the advertising video for Tony and Sanita's upcoming Blended Family Conference. So can you tell us about this exciting, new, awesome conference that's coming up?
Yes, so we have the Perfect Family Blend Conference coming up on September 28th through the 29th. It's going to be held at the beautiful Marriott in College Park. We have so many speakers, which you are one of them, whoop, whoop, right? And so we are so excited to have this Blended Family Conference because we know that as blended families, we have a lot of different issues that come up, and we knew that this was a mandate that had to happen, like that a total, yes. Yeah, that it was a conference that was needed to focus on the blended family and our unique situations, right? There are married couples, and then there's the blended families, and while we all may deal with some of the same things with the blended family, we just have an extra set of things to consider. And so it was very important that we do this conference, and we're very excited about it. So
Absolutely. And again, it's a 2-day conference. It's going to be out in College Park at the Marriott, which, as Sanita said, it is a beautiful hotel. Yes. And you've got rooms blocked for your guests?
Yes, we have rooms blocked, which the last day to reserve your room is on August 31st, but the room block is for $149. And let me tell you, the rooms are gorgeous.
And they cost more than $149.
And they definitely cost, it's like double $149 so for one night. So this is just worth it for you to come for that one night at $149. Now that won't include your conference admission, but it will include your room.
Absolutely. And is this just a conference for married people?
No. So if you are engaged and dating, if you are just cohabitating together, if you are just single, and like me, I was a single mom, and you just want to know, like, what are some things you may have to come in contact with, you are welcome to come. If you are married and not in a blended family, because listen, we're still going to be talking about a lot of the same core issues that all married couples deal with. It's just going to be coming from a different spin, like I said, on the added factor of being in a blended family. But definitely, if you're not in a blended family, you are more than welcome to come. So, and if both of you as a couple cannot come, you can come by yourself and just take the information back. So definitely single, engaged, dating, just living together, looking to start a blended family because you're dating somebody that may have children. So. You're more than welcome. So,
okay, awesome. And you'll hear a bit more about the conference in the upcoming weeks, because again, as a speaker and as a supporter of Tony and Sanita's organization, we'll be making sure that we put those promos out, and looking forward to having you guys come out and see that.
Yes, please.
So, yes. So you mentioned something that I thought was very interesting, because I know that and this is dating myself because I'm still nice and young, watching Maury Povich. I just love watching Maury. Girl, yes. And someone made a joke the other day that he's been bringing families together for years. I'm like, and it's unfortunately true.
Yeah.
You know, he
not
is
always good way.
He's performing a public service.
Yes,
you know,
he is.
But one of the things that I often hear people say, and one is, it's kind of distressful, you know, of someone that grew up in a single-family household, but it's even more distressful as a professional in the field to hear people say that, well, I don't want your girlfriend there because she ain't got nothing to do with it. And so get her out. I don't want to talk to her. I shouldn't see her. And, you know, vice versa for the men. They say, I don't want my kids around nobody. That ain't your husband. You just dating him. And that's absolutely, and it's always going to be wrong. So before I go into my spiel about why it's wrong, can you, again, go back and share a little bit about why it's important to engage that other person that your boyfriend or your ex is dating and spending time with?
Well, it's ludicrous to tell a person who you know, like if they're living together, or let's just say that they're not even living together, but you know that they are in a serious relationship. Like they may not be at the engagement level, but this is somebody that he's seriously dating. And guess what? You can't control what he's doing when the children are in his care. So this woman is going to be there, whether, or if it's the man dating or the vice versa, this man is going to be there regardless of whether you want them to be or not. So lose that. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like that's not even starting out on a good note. So a lot of times what I say is you got to let go of the hurt, because a lot of times people who operate like that, they are still hurt themselves based on the relationship and they haven't let it go. And so the only way that they feel empowered is to try to manipulate that relationship, or to feel like they are in control. Like, but you're not in control. You're not in control. And that's just, and your children are watching. Like, let's talk about having a healthy relationship. And a lot of times you won't have that because you haven't let it go. You gotta let it go. Let go of your anger, let go of your disappointment, let go of the fact that y'all not together no more. And if you really wanted him or you really wanted her, like y'all would be together. So obviously something didn't work and y'all both came to the agreement that you were not going to be in a relationship anymore.
Or at least one of y'all did.
Well, one of you, and you had to accept, well, yeah, you got to suck it up. If he or she didn't want to be with you, then you got to just move on. There are billions of people in the earth that you don't need to worry about one person who don't want to be with you. Like, in either way, this person has moved on. You just need to move on with it.
That's right. That's right. I always find it interesting because I've heard people say, well, I didn't even know that he was dating her, or I didn't even know that she was going out with him. First of all, most of y'all probably following the other person on social media.
Yeah.
So you know that they're dating someone.
Yes.
Two, if you're any type of involved parent, you've heard of this other person from your child.
Yes.
Your child has come back to you from a visit or an event that they went to with the other parent. Oh, mommy or daddy or such and such, me and such went to the park and we did this and we did that. So you know about this other person.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you want to tiptoe and take some steps into getting to know them, because you may still be amazed that he left you because you thought you were great, and you really were great, just not for that person.
Right.
You know, so look, hold on to that. You know, and all your greatness, you weren't good enough for that person, or maybe that person wasn't good enough for you. But you need to come back to the actual self-actualization that you are who you are, and you have to move forward from your relationship split.
Yes.
So when people say, well, I don't want her doing this because she's not his wife, she's just a girlfriend.
Right.
They live together.
Right.
And if they live together, she's probably involved in helping to make everyday decisions about who's putting gas in the car.
Right.
What type of car insurance do we have?
She's probably picking them up from school.
Hello.
Right. I mean, she's probably buying stuff. She's probably just as engaged. And I think it's always that intimidation, meaning like you're going to be replaced. Look, nobody can replace
you as a parent.
You as a parent.
They cannot replace you.
If you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're grinding for your kids, you pouring into your kids, hey, chances are great. You know what I mean? Like I would have wanted their dads to have somebody, because now when they go over there, I know that, especially if she's a good woman, like you can tell, like women, we can pick up if somebody's just,
after you get past the pettiness, get off of your petty style,
right?
Your petty style,
right?
And recognize that, well, every time the kids go over there, they come back, oh, their clothes is clean, they done ate, their hair is combed. Oh, okay, yeah, trust them that you can put that onus on their partner. Right. That they are involved and they look a good person for your kids.
Right, and they have the well-being, but you would never know that if you don't stop the pettiness. Give that person the opportunity, and he or she they're going to make mistakes, because they
just like you do.
Right, just like you do as a mom or a dad, you make the mistakes, but you make the best decision that you can at that chance. Now, that's for the person who is really wanting to be involved in your children, because sometimes they may date somebody who is distant, but right now we're just talking about the person who really has an interest in your children, and you know that they have their best interest, and you know when you're being petty, right? We know when you're being petty.
We just go pause right
there, say loud.
Yeah, you know when you're being petty.
You know when you're being
petty. You need
petty.
to stop. And,
right.
And you guys know how I say that all the time. It takes a community. Girlfriends, when you hear your girlfriends saying, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, I'm not going to do this, you need to get a new girlfriend, okay? Because your community should be supporting you. Just like with marriage, we say this all the time, the people that are at your wedding are your supporters. It is their duty and responsibility to say, hey, Sunita, you shouldn't be doing that. Hey, Tony, where you said you was going, should you be going over there? Those are people that surround you. They're supposed to be checking you, be like, don't do that. You know, you need to do a better job, or I think you need to look left or get off your petty style. So, look, don't let your friends steer you wrong and get you jacked up because they probably single too and don't have no kids or no boyfriend.
Right. Amen. I can't say nothing behind that. And that's usually the case. You gotta. So that's a key point too. Is you have to be careful in this situation on where you get your advice from, because if you're listening to the person who's never been in a relationship, they've never been married, and it's nothing to say that a single person cannot help you. Like, and I'm talking about the person who's dating in an engaged level, not just because once you're married, really, single people really can't help you that much with the marriage, because they're not in a covenant relationship, so they don't know what they're going to do. And they're not the one
you should be going to for advice.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, while you're dating, you got to be careful on who's in your ear. So I always say to have mentors. Like, if you're engaged and you're dating, you're seriously considering marriage, partner up with stable, like somebody that you would want to mimic. Partner and ask them to be your mentor. Most people will say, I can be your mentor, because you need it, because especially if a person such as Tony is coming in and never been a parent before, like he's never had to make those type of decisions, but now he's automatically thrown into a parent role. You need a mentor. You need somebody that you can bounce off ideas on, because we're not going to all go through the same thing, but if they've already been on that road, they can definitely help you. So.
Absolutely. And you can do that for free. Usually when we talk about mentors, you don't have to get one, somebody at your church, some deacons or some ministers, maybe an aunt or an uncle, where you watched them growing up as a child or a young person, and you appreciated their marriage. You should want to try to model your marriage after them. You can find some examples in your community.
Right. So. And that's if you're in a blended family or not. You need to have mentors. You need to have somebody, like we said before, that's going to hold you accountable. Like, that was just really dumb. Or that was really, you didn't think that through. That wasn't a smart decision. So, because sometimes when you're in a relationship and you're in it, you can't really see yourself. You know what I mean? You can't smell yourself. And sometimes the people closest to you, such as the person you're dating or you're engaged to, you don't really hear them because they're so close to you, or they're not sure how to tell you that you're really just being petty. Right. You know what I mean? Without it becoming a blown up thing. So sometimes you need that outsider who's going to call you to the carpet, and that you're really going to respect. Like, if that person said, I'm being petty, then I'm being petty. Right. And it actually reminds me of a story. A good friend of mine had told me years ago that he was dating, and he was dating a couple different women, and he said that
one of the women that he was dating, when he would tell her, "Oh, I'm getting ready to go out and do this," and it was something illegal, some illegal activity, and she would tell him, "Oh, okay, be safe." And the other woman would ask him, "Well, are you sure you want to do that? Well, do you have any alternatives?" And he said, ultimately, while he liked both of them, he realized that for his future and to make sure that he was able to grow with his family and grow as a man, he needed to go with a woman that did not agree with him and did just not accept anything from his behavior.
Right.
And we should do the same with our friends. If your friend is telling you, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and it's something that's wrong, and you know it's wrong, one, because it's either biblically wrong, and or two, is morally wrong, and your friend is like, girl, you should go ahead and do it anyway, you need to drop that person. Right. Drop that person as a friend, because they're not meaning you any good, and they can't edify you as a person. Right. So I think too many of us are not paying attention to that. You end up getting into quote unquote partners in crime as opposed to a good friend that can pour into you.
Right. So. And when people tell you, pull you to the carpet or show you the errors of your way, be open to it. Like, nobody likes correction. No, as much as people will say, "Oh, I love good constructive criticism," that is
I do,
so,
but it hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts, and it hurts to have to accept it. But don't be like, "Oh, she don't know nothing," or she just, who is she? She don't know what she.
She ain't my mama.
She ain't my mama. She ain't my grandma. She ain't my auntie.
She don't pay my bills.
Right. But you're saying stuff that people say, and so it's like, but you gotta be willing, which means you shouldn't be having a whole lot of secrets. I know people are with this like undercover dating, and nobody know who you dating until you pop up and say you engaged.
When you have a reveal party. Ta-da!
Right, I'm engaged. And that's fine. Like, I don't think you need to let everybody know your business. But trust me, people know your business before you even say anything. So you're really not hiding anything. But when
Let me interrupt you real quick. For those of you that don't know, Sanita and I have the same dad. And our Father says he corrected whom he loveth. Okay, yes. So if you are looking for, I don't want to be criticized, know that correction, good correction, proper correction comes out of care and concern. And that's out right. The Bible. So.
That's out the Bible. And that's it. We don't even have to say that. But it's just like it all goes back to being accountable. Sometimes we don't want to be accountable for our actions.
Why?
Because we don't want to own up to the fact that we may be wrong. And so sometimes even in a blended family, you're going to make mistakes. And you're going to make mistakes as the mom. You're going to make mistakes as the bonus mom. You're going to make a mistake, no matter what you call yourself, bonus mom, step mom. There's another mom out there. Whatever you call yourself, you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. And as the biological mom, I cannot go to the bonus mom and just hop on her, you know what I mean? Because she may be already feeling bad about a decision, and here I am adding to it. And now, she may shut down for a while. But it's up to me to say, you know what? I've made all kinds of mistakes as their mother too. Child, let me tell you about the time that.
Right.
Because we're talking about they're not going anywhere. This is somebody that they're engaged to. This is somebody that they're married to. So why not, like you say, form the community where we can say, I can accept your mistake. Because again, we go to work, people make mistakes. You don't cut them off. Some people do get fired, but you can't fire this person. This is not a person, because they're in a covenant relationship, and so you cannot fire them either. So
that's right. Right. And I think that also ties into that whole, when you demean someone or you berate them, you have to understand that there are always going to be consequences. And you want the consequences to be minimal. If you tell, look, the bonus mom, stepmom, well, I don't appreciate you combing her hair, such and such and such and such, her consequence and her understanding of the situation will be, well, I ain't combing nobody's hair. So when they come over, ain't nobody getting their hair combed. So if you don't do their hair before they come, they walk around the whole weekend looking like Boo Boo the Fool.
And then you're mad when they come back because she allowed your children to walk around looking like Boo Boo the Fool.
Exactly.
But you can't have it both ways.
Exactly. And so it's the way that you do it. It's the, hey, can I talk to you for a second? I was wondering, why did you know that we put Cream of Nature in her hair, and I brought some for you. This is what we normally put in her hair because she has this hair condition. And or my son, he may have something on his head. You know, he has to go to, you know, try to get an appointment at this particular barber, you know, because your barber messed his hair up, or your barber did it the way that his hair didn't look right, or something like that. So it's all in how you talk to somebody.
It's okay to say, I didn't like the way his haircut was. You know, next time, could you do this? Like, it's okay. It's not
because you ain't gotta like everything. Know that.
You don't always gotta be like, oh, that was cute, and you be like, because then she thinks, or he thinks that that's something that you approve of, and then they'll do it, and they'll keep doing it under the notion that you were okay. And sometimes it's just
that ugly sweater thing. You keep telling Auntie every year she gets
your
ugly
sweater. And she keep buying
you
the same one, the same sweater in green this year.
Instead of saying, you know, I would really prefer a turtleneck. I really prefer a T-shirt.
She's like, well, she like this, you know. So sometimes it's okay, and this goes back to saying it's okay to have the hard conversations, you know, because people do, you know. So if she likes it, and it's okay that she likes it, but just don't send her back looking that way. Back to me, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? And that's okay.
Yeah, I had a friend. She didn't like braids because she couldn't braid. So when she would, when the child would come to their house, she would take her braids out, and she would, you know, comb her hair and put it, you know, in some little different ponytails, which was always really pretty. But I was always amazed that when it was time for the kids to go home at the end of the week, she would have her friend braid the kids' hair back.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's a whole lot, but it worked for them.
Works for them.
It worked for them. You know, I think she was. I don't think she was going through cosmetology school, but she had something with hair where she's like, she just cannot deal with braids. Right. But again, it worked for them. When the kids went home, they went home the way that they were supposed to. When they were with her, they ran things the way that things were to be ran in her household.
Right.
And so that also goes back to what Sanita said. You cannot run somebody else's household, and you're going to be hurt every time you think that you can tell somebody else what to do in their house.
Right.
Especially in my house.
Right. That's like me coming in and be like, well, you need to turn the light on, leave the light on. But you're like, you don't pay no light bill here. Like, I can't tell you what to do. And especially, like, as a man, if we talk about the men, like, you cannot go into another man's house and tell him how to run his home. Like, that's just not going to work. Like, if they were to come to Tony and tell him, you need to do such and such, and this is the way it's going to be, Tony just close the door. Like, you're not going to come in here and tell me how to run it. But I will entertain if you saying there's something that you don't necessarily want to see when they leave my home to go back to yours.
Right. Like if the kids play basketball, your son play basketball, you need to put a basketball court in the back of your house because I got one at mine. Right. Yeah, that's
not going to work. You know, well, he can go down the street to the basketball court. Like, you're not paying for it. You're going to pay for it to go here, then yes, we can do that. But see, it's all in how you speak. You know, they say it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And a lot of times when we're saying things in a really harsh way, sometimes it's legitimate. You are being mean, you're being petty, you're being, you know, you're not being helpful. And then sometimes it's just you're saying things, but you're not realizing that you're insulting the person that you're talking to.
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah,
I mean, because if you just talk, I mean, it depends on what you're saying. Because sometimes a person is just saying something and they thinking that they are being soft. But again, it just depends on the dynamics. Because if you got a lot of emotions, no matter what that person says to you, even if they are being very genuine, I mean, like most of the time they're being very genuine, very delicate, very, you know, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing to you. But if you are hurt, no matter what that person is saying to you, you're not going to receive it, and you're going to see it as an attack, no matter what. If they're sitting there talking with you with the biological, you still going to take it as an attack. But that's your problem, not hers or his. That's her problem.
And timing is everything too. You know, the time to tell the bonus mom that you messed up my daughter's hair is not during the graduation ceremony. So
you did her hair like that?
You can wait till afterwards, maybe the next day. So again, timing is also a very important part of these conversations. So
yeah. And you know, like, I don't know, when we talk about school, so now we talk about school time, a lot of questions that we get is, do the bonus mom go to the school? So like, say there's a kindergartner or someone who's just entering, well, you know, high school kids, they don't really want you there no way. But everybody want to take all those pictures on the first day of something, the first day of middle school, the first day of high school. And sometimes the biologicals can be like, I don't want you there. What do? You know what I mean? So we actually had talked about this.
Wait till she leave.
Right. What we talked about was what is best for the child. If the biological mom or dad asks you, and I'm talking about even if they are married, even if the new couple, they're married now, they're not just dating, this is like she's there, like she is the wife, still honor the biological mom or dad's request. I know that's hard. I'm going to let that sit. You know why? Why go and you know it's going to cause an issue? What you can do is just do something later. Like, this is when we will talk about it, because they will, you know, just so that the child doesn't go to school having to hear an argument before they go to kindergarten, before they go to the first grade, before they go into middle school, before they go into high school. They have heard their parents arguing, which means that when they come back, they're going to deal with the stress of being at school, and they're going to come home and have to deal with the argument that left, you know, at 7:45, 8:15, whatever time school starts. So that's why I say, if they ask you not to come, okay, you're going to be hurt. You know what I mean? The person, the bonus mom, bonus dad is going to be hurt. But what can we do? Because the child going to come home, right? You still going to have a visitation visit, right? So you can still celebrate, get pictures. Maybe they'll still take a selfie.
Go on the second day.
Go on the second day. I mean, school is what, 200 and some odd days. It's okay if you miss the first day. So if it's going to cause an issue, then stay home. It's hard, because these are hard facts. But what's more important, your ego and pride, or this child going to school with even if it's a pretend picture? Because we got to let children be children, and they don't need to be an adult mess. That's true.
That's true. And it hurts me to agree with Sanita on that. It really does. It hurts me to agree with her on that. But it's true. You want to make sure that you're honoring the biological parents' request, because sometimes they may be nonsensical. They may not make sense, and it may just be out of, you know, their feelings of uncomfort, because a lot of parents still have to deal with the adjustment of having another mother or having another father in the picture. And again, you want what's best for the kids, because even the kids may say, well, I still want to get a picture with you. Can you still come to the school?
Right.
I'm going to share, and I probably shared this story before, but I'm going to share it again. When my daughter graduated from high school, mind you, these are teenagers. My daughter graduated from high school, and my ex-husband, he's a marrying type. So he on his third wife. So, you know, he a man in love commitment. So I love that about you. But when it was time for us to take pictures, we took sets of pictures. So we got pictures of myself, my daughter, my son, and my ex-husband. And then I moved out the way, and he took a picture with him, my daughter, my son, his 3 stepchildren, and his new wife. And then he also took a picture with the kids and his second wife. But again, we took sets, because we understand that my daughter wants these pictures. All these people have been in our kids' lives. We all know each other. We come together. Now, mind you, you might have been in your feelings about the picture, but this is our family. This is our family dynamic.
Right.
You know? So you take this and you keep it walking. And at the end, because y'all know me, I like to push the envelope. Instead of giving you 2 cents, I'm going to give you 3 cents. I'm like, now we all go take a picture now. You know,
right.
So all of us getting in this picture, him and all his 3 wives, you know, so I made a joke about it and all that good stuff. But we all took our family picture, because this is our family, because it's our community.
Right.
It's our community. So sometimes you have to suck some of those things up, but ultimately know that your kids want to be a part of all of the family. The more people that you have involved, the better it is for your child.
Right.
You know, the better it is for your child.
Right.
So.
And that's why I said, if you had the conversation later, like, okay, this going to work for today. But I can't
we need to
tomorrow,
talk about this.
We need to talk about the rest of the days, and we're going to need to talk about next year, because next year I'm still going to be here, and I'm going to want to go on the first day of first grade. You know what I mean? Or the first day of 10th grade. Or, you know, like, I want those pictures. So what can we do to resolve whatever anxiety, whatever
why you tripping?
Yeah, whatever emotion that you're having about me not being there, we need to resolve that, because like you said, especially if they've had children together. Absolutely. So outside of your children, there are other children. So
they're watching.
And they're siblings. Whether you like it or not, they are now siblings. And so it's like, you got to get over yourself.
And get out the way.
And get out the way. Like, how much better would it be if, hey, okay, I'll take my set of pictures, and then, like you did.
And then I look, go on to work. You see, y'all have at it. Y'all see y'all, look, upload them, FaceTime, send them to me or whatever.
Send them to me. Nothing's going on. Clearly nobody wants anybody back, right? So it's not a threat that you're trying to take them, or because they're with someone else, you're with someone else. So it's not the fact that you think that, there's no blurred line. So anything else outside of that is you.
Yeah, I'm going to say with the exception of my ex-husband, because everybody wants him. He's so awesome. Everybody wants him.
Okay.
Look, comic break. So before we wrap up, as we come down to the last couple minutes, let's talk a little bit about the baby daddy culture. Is there, what advice do you and Tony typically give people when they say, well, I don't want to deal with such and such as baby daddy? I don't like them. He's got some issues. He got all these women. He's still that child's father, and he still needs to be involved. So what advice would you give a mother or another bonus dad to say, hey, we're going to bring this in together, because I know you guys have had some?
Well, sometimes, clearly you want things to work out where everybody can come together and it is just fabulous, right? But sometimes in reality, there are some people who you just need to distance yourself from, and you keep it only to the points that you have to talk to that person. And that's okay. It's okay if it's the simple drop off and pick up. It's okay, like, this is your weekend here, to your kids.
Right.
You're going to drop them back off at my house. It's okay if they don't come in. It's okay if y'all not high-fiving and doing all that stuff. It's
hanging out
okay.
At the birthday
you
party.
Ain't got to hang out at the birthday party. Maybe they're going to have their own birthday party. Like, that's okay, too. It doesn't mean that you always, like we say, going to blend where everybody's going to be able to come to the birthday. We're going to have one birthday party. Everybody's going to come. No, maybe that baby daddy or baby mommy is going to have their own party, and you guys, like the biological mom may come, or just to keep peace, because there is no peace when the three of you guys get together. For the sake of the children, you might have to do double everything. So that means the child gets 2 birthday parties, the child gets 2 graduation parties. That means the child gets 2 sets of pictures, family portraits, because sometimes it's just not going to come together, and that's okay.
And side note on that, and I'm glad you brought that up, when you create that culture where the kids get 2 of everything, you actually open another Pandora's box, because then your child is accustomed to pitting the families against each other. So while you think you're doing it out of pettiness and or spite, yeah, mine's going to be better than them, your kid will come to expect that, well, if they're not going to do it, then they're going to do it. They're not going to do it. And so you're actually breeding and teaching your kids to be competitive with the parents, and that actually fosters into the animosity between the two. So a lot of people don't recognize that. I'm just doing this, but ultimately you're always asking why your kid is asking for more and more and more. Well, why? Because you bred that culture of competitiveness. So something to think about.
That's something to think about. That's something to think about. But it's okay. And sometimes it may not breed competitiveness, because the children, as they get older, they begin to understand why they may be getting 2 different things, or maybe one parent may not be able to do it at all. You know what I mean? And so you're right, that is one spin. And then sometimes as they get older, they realize, like, okay, they may not even want 2 parties. Like my mommy, over here they did this party. It was pretty much what I wanted. I don't need the other one. But sometimes they just come to know that they're going to have 2 parties.
And they recognize, and as they get older, they will let you know, Mom, you was wrong, and or Dad, you were wrong. So that's also a rude awakening for parents when they have those dual relationships. So again, I want to say thank you for coming out again, Sunita. This has been awesome. And before we leave, can you tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you and Tony?
So you can find us on Facebook at The Perfect Family Blend. On Facebook, and then Twitter, the same thing. Everything is The Perfect Family Blend. We have info at theperfectfamilyblend.com if you want to email us, and that's where you can find us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So again, we want to say thanks for coming out. Looking forward to seeing you again at the conference, September 28th and 29th up in Hyattsville at the Marriott for the Blended Family Conference. Come one, come all. Again, you don't have to be married to come in and join this conference. And while we'll be talking about a lot of situations that have to do with families, we'll be giving some great seminars and conferences about how to enhance your marriage, great seminars about how to increase your finances, great seminars on how to deal with relationships and things of that nature. So it's going to be an awesome event. We want to make sure that you're able to come out and join us on those 2 days.
And if we have a second, if you use the code word RENEW, 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 you'll get a special discount by going to www.theperfectfamilyblend.eventbrite.com, and you'll see the savings that you'll have just by using the code word RENEW.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So again, thanks again. We appreciate everyone that tuned in today. We hope you like everything that we talked about, but if not, at least you heard it. We'll see you back next week.
That's right.